What's up guys, Matty here. In today's video, we're going to discuss what I believe is the best controller setup I've gotten so far. Now, if you've watched some of my videos over time, you'll know that I am a sucker for software controllers. I've had all the Avid stuff, I've had Console 1, I've had Console 3 now, I've had the SSL UC1, I now have the SSL UF1. But in today's video, I'm going to show you why I think the best combination I've found so far is the UF1 by SSL and the Console 1 MK3. And at the end, I will show you a trick I've discovered to make the UF1 follow the tracks in Studio One. Let's go. All right, so first let's go over the Console 1. I put it on every single channel, as you can see here. It does not really affect the CPU if it's on, as long as nothing's engaged. You don't see any sort of CPU hit. Most of this is just from the program. And honestly, I have some delays and reverb set up here too. So it's barely doing anything, and it's on about 15 tracks here. When it opens, when I put the Console 1 plugin on, it's set to this default setting that I have. So these are the plugins and EQs, compressors that I like to use to get every mix going. And it's based on the SSL 9000 channel strip. But what's great about Console 1 is it doesn't have to be all SSL. As I'll walk you through this, you'll see that I'm using different plugins for different things. So just starting on the left here, you can see the filter section is actually from the core mix suite, which is one of the channel strip settings that Console 1 has. And I like these filters because they can go all the way up or all the way down. The high cut can go all the way down. It just gives you a really wide range of filters, and they sound super clean. Next is the shape section, and you have two different shapes you can use. Just like everything on Console 1, you have two different things you can use, which is a godsend right there. But the core shape I use is also from the core mix suite. I like that because it has the punch and sustain options here, as well as the really useful gate that's super easy to use. The other core shape I use is the panner, the core panner. I love this thing. It's awesome on like synths and stuff to add depth. You can do front to back and left to right. Really good tool for moving things around in your mix. So next we move to the EQ section, and I first have the SSL 9000. This is, to me, a really good EQ for just general broad strokes. If I need more mid-range, I can crank it up here, or low end or whatnot. A lot of times just that 9000 channel can get me to where I need to go. The other option I have is the core modern, and if I'm hearing resonance that I don't like, I use the core modern, pull the Q in, sweep through and find it, and then I can just take it right out. The SSL doesn't really have the tightest of Qs to it, so it's, like I say, it's more for a broad stroke. So those are usually my two main EQs for my default channel setting. Next is the compression setting, and once again I have the SSL 9000 compressor, another good compressor for broad strokes. Now that you can use FabFilter and UADx plugins within Console 1, which is a huge deal, I might actually switch this compressor to the FabFilter C2, but I'm not sure yet. And as you can tell, I already have the UADx 1176. I just love the Rev A UAD 1176. I know Softube has theirs and it sounds great, but I've just gotten so used to this sound of this compressor over the years that I just love it. So it's on there too if I need it. And those two compressors can really cover a lot of bases for, drums, bass, music, sounds, whatever. And then lastly, as I said, I have the SSL 9000 drive setting here. This can switch a lot. A lot of times I'm using the overstayer stuff, or on the right side with the preamps, I use the tape quite a bit. You just hit over here and the tape turns on. That is basically the main setting how I start with. Now, when it comes to vocals, I have a different preset. It's still the core filter mix suite. Love these filters. Then I'm using the same gate, and then I have a little difference here is now that it's available, the FabFilter DS is on my other core suite. And that's so awesome to have the FabFilter de-esser built into this Console 1 now. Moving on to the EQ, I have the core modern, which I could probably switch to the FabFilter now, but I've gotten used to using this EQ. It's a really nice, clean EQ. Like I said earlier, I can get super tight with the Qs on it and so forth. And then this switches, and it's not always used because I tend to stack a couple other plugins on my vocal chain. But if I need a little something, the UADx Pultec is always great to use to add a little boost or a little low end or whatnot. So that's on my vocal chain. Then I got the 1176, once again, my Rev A favorite compressor, and the FabFilter Pro C2 is on here now. So I might use either both of these. If I want a clean sounding compression, a lot of times I'm using the C2. if I want some color, a lot of times using the Rev A, or because you can change the order of all of these, sometimes I use this in the beginning and then put the C2 on later as a parallel compressor. And then lastly, the drive I'm using is the British Class A, just like the whole channel strip is built off of. Okay, so that's how I'm using Softube's Console 1 MK3 in my mixes. Now, how do I incorporate the SSL UF1 into that? Well, the SSL can do all the things that the Console 1 MK3 can't. First of all, it's got a transport so I can hit play and stop and so forth. I actually like using the fader on here, and this is great sometimes because I'll be EQing with the right hand and then I can just turn it down here all at the same time. So I'm turning EQ and turning the fader up or down at the same time, and that's super helpful. Really quick, intuitive way to work. Same for pans. I can just grab this track here, hit pan, and it's panning right or left. Especially when I have a bunch of background vocals, I can just go really quick, pan left, pan right, pan left, pan right. Super fast to do things like that. And then as I said with the transport, it also has the loop button as well as my metronome. And I've set up, you can switch some of these keys. So I've set up my automation. So when I hit touch 3, you can see in the channel it goes to touch, and then I can hit read and it goes back. So I can do really quick automation stuff here right on the fly. Now the part that's really cool to me is other plugins that I use like Valhalla that don't work in the Console 1 ecosystem can work with the SSL 1. So if you notice up here, if I hit plugin, I have programmed these, which you can do in Studio One. You probably can't do this in Pro Tools, but if I turn the mix here, the mix changes there. I have high cut and low cut. So I have 4 knobs I can program to be whatever I want. And then I can hit 5 to 8. I don't have it for this one, but I can hit 5 to 8 and program 4 more. I find that these 4 work well for just what I need to do with Valhalla quickly. And then I can even, as I'm turning the mix, I can come here and change the decay with my mouse. So just makes things really fast to work on. The other great reason I like to use the UF1 with the Console 1 as a great combination is if I hit sends, now my sends here. Now I can use the sends on Console 1, which is fine. I can hit send 1 and then change the volume up and down and then go back to volume. But for some reason I found with my mouse right next to the volume and stuff, I don't use this side that much. It's just like I have to, maybe it's the way my desk is set up, but I have to move my hand up and it's just a little cramped, maybe because this Stream Deck's here. I don't know. But I found using this is just a lot easier. I can change the sends here and it will have all 4 sends. If I need more, just like plugins, I can hit 5 to 8 and 4 more sends will show up. Okay, so lastly, let's talk about track follow with the UF1. When I first got this, I was so bummed out because it wasn't, when I clicked here, it wasn't following on here, and vice versa. Well, you can't really, if I moved the channel here, it wasn't working here, and I was like, man, this was gonna work perfect, but if it doesn't do that, it's just not worth it. But I found something that makes it work. So I wanna give credit where credit is due. I was in the Personas forums, and I found this guy here, Jerome VDV. And he built this custom device so that it works within Studio One. This guy is a savior. And I'll put these links in the comments. But here you download this and then unzip it. And for Mac users, actually, if you're a Windows user, guys, he explains it really well here. And I even added how to use it on the Mac, but I'll show you since we're on here right now. But you just go to your applications, right? And you're going to find your Studio One, Studio One 6. And you're going to right-click the package, right? Or right-click and say, Show Package, right? And this will bring up your contents. And what you'll see is this box called Devices, right? Or a folder called Devices. And now I have the SSL in here. Once you download that, that's what you're going to get is this SSL folder. And you just dump this SSL folder in here, and then it will come up under your external devices under the MIDI settings. And you'll see it. See, it's the SSL. I even got the picture in there and everything. So that makes it work perfectly with Studio One. All right, so let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you like this controller setup? I think it's great. If you need your song mixed or mastered, hit me up at mixedmastermysong.com. Talk to you guys soon.